Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Welcome into another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. It is Monday, October 5th, 2020 in the beautiful city of Chicago. We have a lot of stuff to get into today. But before we get to today's show, let's go ahead and take care of some housekeeping notes. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeMMedia. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. And the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast on all major podcasting platforms at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, our home to our interviews that you can hear with athletes and celebrities ad-free and before anybody else. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. Visit us at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. The holiday season is around the corner. Check out what we have at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves. And be friends with the network on Facebook. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves.
Colts trying to solve their red zone problems. That quick pass, that is complete to the 5, to the end zone. Mo Alley Cox. Touchdown. 27 yards out, the kick is perfect. 9. And the rookie's kick is good. Those 3. And it is good. Falls over the middle, incomplete through the hands of his intended receiver. That's intercepted. Coming back to about the 23-yard line is Julian Blackmon, the rookie out of Utah. And put 3 more on the board for the Indianapolis Colts.
Entire day. Here comes the blitz.
To the end zone. Going up, grabbing the football for the touchdown is Robinson.
That is a great throw by Nick Foles.
Okay, push.
Foles, they're going to try to run it. And number 32, Montgomery, into the end zone for the 2 points.
Laying there on the kicking tee, most of it on the grass. This should jump up in the air pretty high.
And covering the ball is across the 45 is Trey Burton.
Nick Foles couldn't repeat his magic from last week as the Bears fall to the Colts 19-11, dropping the Bears record to 3-1. The Colts now 3-1 as well. The Chicago Bears not having a really great performance, guys. Really frustrating stuff. You have Nick Foles going 26 for 42, 249 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. David Montgomery only getting the ball 10 times for 27 yards. Cordell Patterson getting the ball 3 times for 5 yards. Allen Robinson, 7 receptions for 101 yards and a touchdown late in the game. Mooney gets 5 receptions for 52 yards. Jimmy Graham, 4 catches for 33. You have David Montgomery getting 3 for 30. Anthony Miller, 3 for 16. And Ted Ginn, 2 for 11. And just kind of giving you guys another rundown of how this game looked. Because this is what I tweeted out on Couch Sports Talk and on Twitter at MikeMMedia. The score shows that it was close, but it wasn't that close at all. Total yards, you have the Indianapolis Colts, 289 total yards with the Bears, 269. 186 passing yards for the Colts, but 103 on the ground, opposed to the Bears only getting 28 rushing yards, but 241 passing yards. 16 first downs for the Bears compared to the 18 of Indianapolis. Here's a big thing. 8 for 19 on third down for the Colts. 4 for 14 for Chicago. The Colts go 1 for 2 on fourth down. And you just have 8 penalties for 103 yards for the Bears. Only 27 minutes of possession. And that's how you end up getting an L. Plain and simple. And what I really want to get into this morning here on Sports from the Couch, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Nick Foles, coming into this season, everybody had these hopes for him, right? Super Bowl MVP, led the Eagles of all teams to that championship. Somebody who was drafted high, has been around the league, knows Matt Nagy's offense. All these things are true. Does that make him a great NFL quarterback? No. Does that make him a good NFL quarterback? No. It made him a competent one. And it still goes back to the crust of the problem. Ryan Pace has dropped the ball over and over and over again when it comes to quarterback selection. That's nobody else. That's not Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy is coaching the guys that are given to him. This organization has had chance after chance after chance, opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to bring in a good quarterback, a special quarterback, a difference maker. Now, say what you will about the COVID-19 thing with Cam Newton. Wouldn't you feel a little bit different going into week 5 if Cam Newton was the Bears starter, all things being equal, opposed to Nick Foles? Nick Foles can be a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky and still not be a really good NFL quarterback. Both things can be true, guys. That is what's most upsetting about what's happening with this Bears team. And they're going to force feed Allen Robinson because he's one of the only real weapons on this offense right now. And now let's talk about Matt Nagy saying that he knows that the offense, the game plan can't work this way, that the running game needs to be this way. This is the same guy that says he's not stupid last year and told us he needs to make sure that that run game is an integral part of this offense. David Montgomery touched the ball only 10 times. Look, I don't know how much that has to do with that David Montgomery maybe isn't the running back we were all hoping he was going to be. He might be for the value that you got him when you drafted him. But he's no Alvin Kamara. He's no Derrick Henry. Like, he's not one of the Ezekiel Elliott's. He's not a Nick Chubb. He's not on that tier. And that's the difference, right? If you're going to rely so heavily on your run game and your offensive line isn't as good as you hoped it would be, or good enough to run this type of offensive scheme, I'm not sure what the saving grace for this team is. That's a good Colts defense. That's a good Colts team that doesn't rely on Phillip Rivers to make all the plays. They take their opportunities and they cash them in. And this is what we were saying for the last few weeks. The Bears were lucky, and luck is part of a win is a win is a win. I'm not going to take it away from them. But it was the class of opponent they were playing that really dictated their 3-0 start. They played a team that has aspirations. Maybe when you legitimately think about it, they can't get past Kansas City or maybe can't get past Baltimore. But they sure as hell could get past Chicago. And if you listen to us on Thursdays as we make our confidence picks, my theory was Nick Foles would have maybe 1 or 2 weeks of being able to catch the league, go through that momentum, and beat certain teams, especially at home. But there is now, we've seen it, we're 4 weeks in, we all have the sample sizes, that there is a disparity amongst the Bears where they're going to be able to beat certain teams and they're not going to be able to hang with others. And then there's going to be some that they're going to be able to bring them down to the muck and make them play their type of football, which is bad football, especially offensively. And they might be able to win some games. But that 6-10 record is still very plausible, just as much as that 9-7, 10-6 record is. Things go right. Minnesota was able to find a W, so like the division was able to get a win there. But if things maybe head back in your direction and Detroit loses and if Green Bay loses later tonight, then maybe, right? Maybe you could get some luck. But that's what this is going to be. You're going to have a lot of luck. This isn't the same as a few years ago. Your defense is that much older. Is being asked to be on the field again for a lot of the game. Like, you can't have them being out there for over 30 minutes and expecting them to be an elite defense still. To me, it's weird because there's so much quick turnaround in the NFL. And we know now that the Mitch experiment is over. And we know Nick Foles, yeah, he might win you a few games, but he's not the future. He's a 30-something-year-old quarterback that you gave a lot of stuff up for, by the way. What do? Do you let Ryan Pace pick the next guy again? I'm not sure if you can do that. So unless you get to, I'm presumably the NFC Championship game, a divisional game, they're all on the hot seat And I don't know how much a 500 record or above 500 record helps them. Because if the quarterback position looks bad, I don't see who they could go get in the future that's going to make them look any better. Frustrating loss, frustrating Sunday. It was really sad when you look around the NFL and you see some of these other teams go around and they're just able to play great offensive football. Even in a season where everything is weird and nobody really is feeling comfortable and there's things that are off, you're still seeing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers put up a bunch of points. We're seeing what happened in Dallas and Cleveland. You have Baltimore. Like, there's teams that put up points all the time. Gardner Minshew and Jacksonville are able to figure it out. You have Cincinnati, but this Bears team can't. This is a detriment to the resume of Ryan Pace, who we all, especially if you're an insider or if you want to just be fair, you say, well, he's done good in picking late and setting up that defense. This league is still an offensive league, and they've never been able to have a good offense. Let me know your thoughts. How are you feeling after week 4? The Bears now going 3-1. It's going to be interesting to see what the narrative is going forward by this team and how they attack the game plan next week. I want to know your thoughts. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk.
And with that, we take a look at the rest of the week 4 lineup that was. We start off with Thursday night, which was Broncos over the Jets, 37-28. And to our Sunday slate, it was the Saints beating the Lions 35-29. The Buccaneers beat the Chargers 38-31. It was the Bengals beating the Jaguars 33-25. The Vikings beating the Texans 31-23. The Seahawks over the Dolphins 31-23. It was the Browns over the Cowboys 49-38 in a crazy game. The Panthers with the upset of the week beating the Cardinals 31-21. The Ravens all over Washington 31-17. The Rams beat the Giants 17-9. It was the Bills over the Raiders 30-23. And like we mentioned earlier, moved up from noon to the 3 o'clock America's main game. The Colts beat the Bears 19-11. And on Sunday night football, the Eagles were able to hold on and beat the 49ers 25-20. And the Patriots and Chiefs were postponed to Monday Night Football, the first of their Monday night games. We have a doubleheader between the Patriots and the Chiefs, and then the Falcons and Packers as your regularly scheduled program. So even with the COVID scare, the NFL is able to get one of its big marquee games onto television, as Cam Newton won't be able to play for the Patriots. It looks like, it seems at least that much, because he would have to go through all the protocols. But the rest of the Patriots and the rest of the Chiefs seem to be going A-OK, and we will have ourselves an interesting matchup. And Falcons versus Packers, the real Monday Night Football game, the originally scheduled Monday Night Football game. At the very least, if nothing else, there's going to be a lot of points in that game, so that should be a really fun one. And make sure, if you guys are planning to watch them, if they're your home team, you guys know that the schedule had changed a little bit when it comes to timing, so keep your eyes out on that. And let's take a quick look into the standing. Let's see how some of these bad boys are shaking out. In the AFC East, you have the undefeated 4-0 Buffalo Bills, the 2-1 Patriots, who are playing tonight on Monday Night Football, the 1-3 Dolphins, and the 0-4 poor New York Jets. Oh man, Trevor Lawrence, God bless you. You end up over in Jersey. The AFC West, the Chiefs at 3-0 playing tonight on Monday Night Football. You have the Raiders at 2-2, the Broncos at 1-3, and the Chargers at 1-3 as well. Shout out to the Chargers, though, had a pretty good game over in Tampa Bay. Are the Chargers that good? Is Herbert that good? Or are the Buccaneers and Brady not as good as we thought? We'll need a little bit more data on that one. That's an interesting game. In the AFC North, you have the 3-0 Steelers, who obviously were postponed along with the Titans, so we'll see how that works out with the schedules later on in the season. You have the 3-1 Ravens, the 3-1 Browns. Say what you will, I doubt them all the time. Odell Beckham had an awesome game. Jarvis Landry threw a touchdown. They're not making Baker Mayfield do all of this crazy stuff with the offense. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are a crazy 1-2 combination. So, I mean, the Browns seem like for real. That AFC North with 3 teams at 3-1. It's a stacked division. And you have the Bengals who are at 1-2-1, and they have a quarterback of the future. The AFC North is stacked. I love a lot of the teams there. They all have young quarterbacks except for the Steelers. But the Steelers, that's a team that knows how to draft and how to scout, and they're just always a very well-ran organization, maybe the best-ran organization in the NFL. So I love the AFC North when it comes to some of the talent in that division. And the Browns, I don't know if they're for real, but they got through some of the games that they were supposed to win, and there was a frustrating loss in between there. But Cleveland, it's going to be interesting when the division plays against each other. Let's just say that. We'll see how for real they are. We'll see what happens when push comes to shove and the lights are at their brightest. But against Dallas, that's a pretty bright light, and they showed up and won. And in the AFC South, we have the Titans at 3-0, and one of the teams who are postponed along with Pittsburgh, the 3-1 Colts, the 1-3 Jaguars, and the 0-4 Texans. I mean, you get rid of Will Fuller, you bring in back David Johnson, and there was a reason why the Cardinals were so ready to get rid of him for DeAndre Hopkins. You don't have an offensive line that's going to help Deshaun Watson. Bill O'Brien, I mean, can somebody have so much talent and completely waste it like that man has? I don't know how they're going to get out of it. 0-4 is a tough hole to get out of. We'll see if they're able to, but I'm not that confident in that Texans team. They're going to be in a lot of games. They're going to have to score a lot of points, but how many games are they actually going to win? I'm not sure. And moving on to the NFC, let's go to the worst division in football. Oh my God. The 1-2-1 Eagles are in first place of the NFC East. And you have Washington at 1-3, the Cowboys at 1-3, and the Giants at 0-4. It is so unfair, but also just NFL justice that some team won't make the playoffs and have a nice record, but a team in the NFC East is going to go 7-9, 8-8, or have a tie on its record and find a way to get itself to the NFC Championship game. Just watch. Knowing the NFL, how crazy the NFL is, how stupid the NFL can be sometimes, that's going to end up being the story. One of the other great divisions in football, the NFC West, like we were talking about, the Seahawks at 4-0, the Rams at 3-1, the Cardinals at 2-2, and the Niners at 2-2. So we know that the Seahawks are the class of the NFC, which makes them the class of the West. The real question is, can the Rams keep up with Seattle? Their defense is good. Can Jared Goff help maintain and facilitate that offense? That's what's going to get the Rams back to where they were a few years ago. And the Cardinals is all experience. You know, they should have beat Carolina. Kenyon Drake should have gone off. Kyle Murray should have had more than 100 and something passing yards. Does have 3 touchdowns though. And the Niners are just holding on. The Niners are just like, please keep us afloat. Just don't let us drown. So we'll see how that ends up playing out in the NFC West, but a really stacked division. Going to the NFC North, the 3-0 Packers playing tonight on Monday Night Football. The 3-1 Chicago Bears. If you missed it, go back to the beginning of the episode. We talked about the horrible game, the horrible showing that was that Chicago Bears offense. The 1-3 Vikings getting a W on the board, and the 1-3 Lions. The Lions will lion, won't they? They have the offense. They have a good quarterback. They have a great receiving core, but they don't win games. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't have any analysis to tell you like why Detroit just can't win games. And they make New Orleans look so damn good without Michael Thomas. So I don't know if the Vikings are a good team. You talk about a team that has all the potential to be good, but that defense is going to give up points as well. So the Packers, you know, they win today and they're looking golden. And against an Atlanta team, I think that they're going to beat. The Packers can start putting some wins together and they could run away with this division pretty fast. So the NFC North, even though you have two teams with a pretty close record, it doesn't seem that close, right? 3-0 and 3-1 going into Monday Night Football, and the Packers going against Atlanta, you don't feel that great. Even that you felt 7 days ago. Crazy what one game can do for a mindset. And finally, in the NFC South, you have the Buccaneers at 3-1, the Saints at 2-2, the Panthers at 2-2, and the Atlanta Falcons at 0-3, playing tonight on Monday Night Football. I think the Saints, again, one of these teams are waiting to get their receiver back, the best receiver on their team. And Drew Brees is just like, get me to the playoffs. Please just keep me upright, and I will try my best not to get rid of that ball. Because even though he is not the same Drew Brees of old, he is not throwing it down the field, they're a good enough team where they don't make mistakes. They're in every game, and they're tough to beat in that Superdome, even though we've seen it already happen this season. So maybe that's not as true as it was before. We don't want to have that crazy reaction. But the Buccaneers are 3-1. That's interesting, right? You don't feel like they're 3-1. Mike Evans is always getting hurt. They don't have Leonard Fournette last week. Chris Godwin has hamstring issues. Gronk hasn't looked all that great. They're finding ways to win. So shout out to Tampa Tom, huh? And that was our look at week 4 of the NFL schedule. 2 games this Monday night, and we will have that all for you this coming up Thursday on Sports from the Couch. But let me know how your teams do in week 4 of the NFL. Do you like your team is in the standings? Do you have confidence that they're going to make a run later into the season? Or is the season over for you? Are you an Atlanta Falcons fan? Are you a Jets fan? Let us know all over social media. I'm on Twitter at MikeMedia, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. The show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk.
Butler says, give me the ball. Butler the drive, the runner, he banks it in. Oh, what a masterpiece from Jimmy Butler.
What a game from Jimmy Butler, who drops 40 in the win over the Lakers, 115-104, giving the Heat their first win of the series, making it 2-1 in favor of the Lakers in the NBA Finals. Let's take a quick look of the Lakers. LeBron James with 25 points. The big thing, Anthony Davis, only 15 points on 33 minutes, 3 assists, 5 rebounds. So before we get too far down the weaves, really fast, a shout out to Jimmy Butler for the game of a lifetime. I mean, we know here in Chicago how much he wanted to be a superstar, how much Jimmy Butler wanted to be that guy, how much Jimmy Butler did see him as the guy, as the man, as a true superstar in this league. And most people, including myself, always thought he was either a good player or a nice player or an all-star. But when you start saying words like superstar, you start talking about getting to the finals, leading your team to finals wins, and maybe even winning a championship, being the difference maker on a team. And guys, guess what? Boys and girls, that's what Jimmy Butler is doing. It's crazy. The fact that he did that for the rest of history, he will always go down as one of the guys that had one of those breakout games in a finals. There's not a specific category for it. It's not the most glamorous of things, but when you're able to ball out in a finals, and especially of all finals, one that LeBron James is playing in, one where the Lakers are in, one during a pandemic in this crazy arena, in this crazy world, it's a big deal to have that type of showing. And it's the other side of it with Anthony Davis. It's the argument I made on the last episode where I told you it's all about AD. LeBron James is the best player on the court. But in order for the Lakers to win a championship, Anthony Davis needs to be the best player. He needs to be the best player for the Lakers. He needs to do stuff that LeBron would have had done in 2009, 2010, 2011. We need a performance like 40 points from Anthony Davis. We need him to dominate in a game. He had a nice stat sheet. He had a really good stat sheet, especially in all things being equal for any other player, especially in the finals. But when you're trying to take a 3-0 lead, a stranglehold in this series, and then solidify yourself as a top 5 player, this is that moment to do it. Now, do I think the Miami Heat are going to go on this run now and make this series really interesting, and we're going to go to Game 7 and they're going to win the finals? I don't think so. It's still probably only going to go 5-6, maybe 6, but more than likely it ends in Game 5. What I'm really bothered by, and I don't know what it is, maybe it's because I've gone past the mainstream media argument of Michael and LeBron and all this nonsense. But you guys got Nick Wright and Dan Patrick, who I love. I love both of them. They're great. They're top of the mountain dudes. They've worked hard. They got awesome opinions. They know they're good, right? They're playing out. They're just great, right? But they keep going with these sentiment, this idea of this pushback on LeBron. What's the pushback? He's balling out. He's 35 years old. He's gone through it all. If it's what the same comparison I always make, you already have your camps. You either love him and think he's the best, or you hate him and you think MJ's the best. And then you have like the staggers and the stragglers and just the hang-outers that of Kobe and Wilt and Larry and Magic. But like that horse has left the barn. It's no longer LeBron can't do anything to be better than Michael. Like that's the thing. And I don't mean that in a negative way, as I'm saying he's not better than Michael. I'm saying there's no argument to be had anymore. LeBron has cemented his legacy, whether he wins this finals or not. Now, losing the finals would hurt the storylines and kind of the perception late in the career and how the news cycle is so fast. But if he wins the finals, it doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't make him automatically now better than Michael Jordan. If he's not better than Michael now, he never will be to the eyes of people who believe that. And vice versa. If you think he's the best player ever, what's another championship? Honestly, in his case, we're not talking about somebody like a Jimmy Butler or a Giannis or a Paul George or a Russ or a Harden. You see, like, that's the difference. That's what I'm talking about. But then you have these talking heads because it drives ratings, obviously. It does to talk Cowboys and LeBron. It does. But I promise you, besides your little circles that you're running on and your little meetings and the Twitter haters, nobody's talking about it the way you guys are. People aren't saying that this finals doesn't count. People are just happy that we got to a finals. And the fact that LeBron is in it is what makes it legitimate. It's this idea for all you wrestling fans out there, and if you're not, follow me. A lot of people say the championship, the belt. Let's say if you're a WWE fan, or back in the day, a WWF, WCW fan. The championship belt, the heavyweight championship, is only a prop until it's not. Because it's the man that makes the belt. The belt doesn't make the man. And that's the case here. The championship is always, in real sports, the most important thing ever. But when you add a LeBron to an NBA Finals, when you add a Tom Brady to a Super Bowl, when you add Kershaw to a World Series, it means a little bit more. There's this credibility. There's this extra little spice in it because you're going through the mountaintop and you're beating the dragon that lives in the layer of that mountain. So shout out to Jimmy Butler for an amazing game, one of the best NBA Finals performances you're going to see in a long time. And Game 4 is on Tuesday, October 6, 2020. On ABC. But let us know, what are your thoughts about the NBA? Do you think that LeBron is getting too much hate, not enough hate, or do you think the talking heads are making a big deal out of nothing? Or do you honestly believe that Jimmy Butler just lit the spark that's going to get the Miami Heat to win an NBA championship? I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. And finally, before we head out, let's give you a quick heads up on what's going on in Major League Baseball as the bubble has started. And if you're here in Chicago, you know the disappointment is real as both the White Sox and Cubs could not get out of the wild card series. The White Sox with a good showing. The Cubs, a little bit frustrating. And now this story coming out about Theo Epstein leaving after the 10-year plan, after his contract. This has all been stuff that we've all known about. We've all just buried our heads in the sand because we all hope that they were going to win multiple championships. But we'll talk about all that as the weeks go on. I don't want to harp on it. It's been the story that has literally been the cloud over this Cubs team over the last few years of where will Theo go? Will he stay? I don't feel like talking about it right now because we still have playoff baseball. And let me give you the matchups so you can get your bracket going. And make sure you listen to our last week's episode. We did a crossover with Paul Shavar from Baseball Weekend Journal, and we made our picks. Some of them right, some of them wrong. So let us see how we are shaking out so far. In the ALDS, we have a matchup of Tampa Bay versus the Yankees and the Astros taking on the A's. So 2 divisional matchups in the ALDS. And in the NLDS, you have the Dodgers taking on the Padres and the Marlins taking on the Braves. Another set of divisional matchups in the divisional series. This first game will be Astros Athletics on TBS, along with the Yankees and Rays this Monday, October 5th, 2020. Your Tuesday, October 6 games look like Marlins, Braves, Astros, Athletics, Yankees, Rays, Padres, and Dodgers. Let us know, is your favorite baseball team still in the playoffs? Who do you like getting all the way to the World Series after the Wild Card Series? But that'll do it for us on this edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Don't forget, you can follow me all over social media.
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. The show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast on all major podcasting platforms at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, our home to our interviews that you can hear with athletes and celebrities ad-free and before anybody else. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. Visit us at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. The holiday season is around the corner. Check out what we have at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves. And be friends with the network on Facebook. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves.
Enjoy all the games. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado.